Something greater than chance has brought you here. Not accident, not coincidence, but the vast intelligence of consciousness itself arranging this exact moment so that you might hear what your soul has been waiting for. Deep inside you have sensed it all along, that subtle current flowing beneath the surface of your ordinary life, whispering of something more. It has been building, day by day, a frequency humming just below awareness, calling you toward a truth larger than the familiar security you have clung to. For what you called security may have been nothing more than unconscious sleep disguised as conscious living. Others may not see this stirring, for they mistake your restlessness as dissatisfaction, while you recognize it as awakening. They perceive stability where you feel limitation, but your path was never meant to be defined by their perception. Every decision that has carried you to this point, every detour, every uncertain season, it was all a curriculum, an initiation preparing you to remember the power that has always been yours. You do not need permission to desire expansion. You do not need validation to step forward into what calls you. The only consent you have ever needed was the quiet yes you give yourself. Imagine your future self looking back on this instant. Will they remember it as the moment you finally listened, or as one more chance that slipped away into the background noise of ordinary days? This is no ordinary day. This is the moment when your deeper intelligence has chosen to override the voice of limitation, when the path of growth reveals itself in the form of a sacred discomfort. It takes courage to recognize when the life you built no longer serves the being you are becoming, but that courage has always been within you. What if what you have called danger is really destiny? What if your restlessness is not a flaw but an inner navigation system recalibrating you toward your authentic trajectory? The power has always been yours, and it always will be. You may retreat into the known, or you may trust that the deeper part of you, the part that guided you here, sees a horizon your rational mind cannot yet decode. This is why I say pay attention. Your transformation is not a distant promise. It has already begun. The turning points of your life, these moments when the universe refuses to let you remain small, are not random interruptions. They are the story itself. They are the places where the boundary between your individual life and the cosmic intelligence dissolves and you realize they were never separate. Consciousness is not something you merely possess. Consciousness is what you are. And by its very essence, consciousness expands. It evolves. It seeks fuller expression through the vessel of your life. The discomfort you feel is not a mistake. It is the sacred sign of growth. Your identity, like a container, has become too small for what you are becoming. Like a plant whose roots outgrow its pot, you cannot remain confined. Many people, when they feel this pressure, numb themselves with distractions or misinterpret the call as crisis. But you standing here are beginning to see a third way to honor it, as sacred information to follow it like a golden thread drawing you into your next becoming. Think of the snake shedding its skin. The old skin is not broken. It is simply too small. The snake does not resist. It trusts the wisdom of its own growth and lets what no longer fits fall away. In the same way, your soul is asking you to trust the same intelligence, the intelligence that once grew you from a single cell, that sustains your heartbeat without instruction, that heals your wounds without your command. That same intelligence is whispering now that it is time to release what has become too tight to step into the vastness of your becoming. The restlessness within you is the evidence of life expanding. This is where the mystery of quantum physics and the poetry of spirit converge. At the most fundamental level of reality, particles exist in superposition holding multiple possibilities until consciousness collapses them into a single expression. And so it is with you in this very moment. The version of you that continues along the old path and the version of you that dares to honor this awakening both exist as simultaneous potentials. Which future will crystallize depends not on chance, but on the choice you make now, the choice to remain asleep or to step boldly into the life that has been waiting for you. The real question is not about which version of you is more real, but about which one you will observe into existence through the choices you make right now. Every time you honor the subtle stirring instead of dismissing it, you are literally observing the emerging self into greater reality. Each moment you listen to the calling, rather than reasoning it away, you collapse the quantum field in favor of your evolution. Yet resistance arises, and it is not because you lack courage, but because your current identity, the story you've been repeating about who you are and what is possible, is deeply invested in staying the same. It is like an invisible magnetic field, pulling you back toward the familiar. This is not weakness. It is the nature of consciousness itself. The part of you that has been dedicated to safety, to structure, to managing daily existence, is doing precisely what it was designed to do. It is trying to preserve stability and coherence within your lived experience. The difficulty is that what once ensured survival is now quietly obstructing your evolution. The very mechanisms that guided your earlier chapters are the ones creating friction as you stand on the threshold of a new chapter. That is why turning points rarely feel comfortable even when some part of you knows they are guiding you towards something greater. One aspect of your being recognizes truth, while another mobilizes its defenses to maintain the status quo. When you understand this dynamic, self-judgment dissolves. You begin to see that you are not resisting out of fear or lack of commitment, but are moving through the natural tension between preservation and transformation. A universal pattern woven into the process of conscious expansion. If this recognition is shifting how you view your own resistance anchor, it now let yourself acknowledge that you are receiving transmissions meant to support your awakening. And if this resonates, take a moment to engage, because each engagement is not casual, it is energetic alignment. In the field of possibility, participation is declaration. Share a reflection of the time you chose growth over safety. Remember what it revealed about your hidden capacity for transformation. For the essential skill here is to learn how to distinguish the voice of authentic guidance from the voice of familiar limitation. Guidance often arrives as a quiet knowing, a subtle pull towards something luminous, even if it defies explanation. Familiarity, on the other hand, speaks with the language of logic, echoing questions of how and what if, and reminding you of past failures. It is not wrong, but it is rooted in data from your past rather than possibility from your future. The invitation of your turning point is to become fluent in the language of guidance while allowing logic to support without leading. It is not about rejecting one voice, but learning to let intuition steer while logic serves as navigator. Too often, people wait for complete certainty before they move. They wait for the entire map to unfold before taking the first step, not realizing that consciousness never reveals the whole journey at once. It is not GPS. It is a flashlight in the dark, illuminating just enough to take the next safe step. And as you take that step, the path extends, revealing more of itself, but only in proportion to your willingness to walk. This is not a flaw. It is the design of evolution. For the one who begins the journey is never the same as the one who completes it. If you saw the entire path from your current perspective, you would plan from the limitations of who you are today, rather than from the expanded vantage of who you will become. That is why the universe reveals the path progressively to allow your being to grow into each new section. What looks impossible now becomes natural, once you have taken the steps that transform you into the one who can accomplish it. Your turning point, then, is not about one grand dramatic decision, but about cultivating trust. Trust to take the next step, and then the next, each one shaping you into the being capable of moving forward again. This is the art of transformation, step by step, layer by layer, allowing each choice to sculpt you into the self that aligns with your highest trajectory. So, pause here, and declare to yourself and to the quantum field, I trust the intelligence that brought me here to guide me forward. Let these words be more than casual engagement. Let them carry the energy of conscious alignment. When you write them, when you declare them, you are sending a coherent signal into the infinite field, combining intention with attention, activating support structures that already exist in the unseen to help guide your transformation. And remember, these turning points are not small personal moments alone. They are universal inflection points where your individual expansion ripples outward into the collective field of consciousness itself. These turning points in your life are not random, isolated events. They are cosmic expressions flowing through your individual experience, orchestrated by the same intelligence that guides galaxies in their dance and seasons in their eternal cycle. The stirring you feel within is not separate from that grand orchestration. It is the echo of the universal mind moving through you. Your personal transformation is woven into a larger evolutionary wave sweeping through human consciousness at this very moment. You are not only reshaping your own path, you are participating in the collective awakening of our species. Each time you choose authenticity over complacency, growth over comfort, you generate a resonance field that ripples outward, making it easier for others to step into their own awakening. This is why your courage matters beyond your personal journey. When you lean into expansion instead of contraction, possibility instead of probability, you are not only altering your own trajectory, you are contributing to the global redefinition of what humanity believes is possible. Consider how in nature, when one tree blooms, it releases subtle signals that inspire the trees around it to bloom as well. In the same way, your willingness to trust your turning point sends invisible signals into the collective field, and suddenly others begin to feel safe honoring their own callings because you honored yours. They feel permission to listen to their own guidance because you listened to yours. This is how one person's transformation becomes a catalyst for the transformation of many. This is how evolution unfolds, not through massive movements or dramatic revolutions, but through the steady, courageous choice of individuals expanding beyond their limits one by one until ripples merge into waves of change. What you are touching here is only the surface of the quantum principles that govern transformation. These thresholds are invitations, but beyond them lies an entire framework of consciousness mastery that carries you from seeking to becoming, from broadcasting unconscious static to becoming the living transmission itself. Yet, here lies the paradox. You cannot bypass your own growth for the sake of others. You cannot pour into the world from an empty cup. You cannot guide another to landscapes you yourself have refused to enter. Your first responsibility is always to your own unfolding. When you embrace that responsibility fully, your life naturally becomes a gift to all who cross your path. If something within you is resonating with these words, if you feel the recognition of truth awakening in places that have long been dormant, then consider this your invitation not just to follow content but to align with frequency. To stay connected, not just to ideas, but to the energy of conscious evolution itself. When you commit to this connection, you are affirming that you were never meant for a small or stagnant life. You were meant to embody the fullness of what consciousness can express through your unique existence. And yet, let us be clear about what happens when you say yes to these turning points. Many imagine that life will suddenly become easy, that every obstacle will vanish. But the truth is deeper. Your life becomes aligned. And alignment is not always comfortable, but it is always authentic. It does not remove challenge, but it ensures that every challenge serves your evolution rather than your stagnation. Alignment asks you to redirect your energy to stop pouring life force into what drains you and start investing it in what expands you. It might mean saying no to opportunities that seem golden on paper but feel hollow in your heart. It might mean walking away from familiar paths in order to follow the golden thread of your deeper intelligence. For when you align with that intelligence, you stop wasting energy on what is false, and you begin to generate energy through what is true. This is the essence of conscious transformation, to honor the cosmic intelligence that moves galaxies and to allow that same force to move through you, reshaping your life into its authentic form and contributing in ways unseen yet undeniable to the awakening of the whole. Stepping into your authentic evolution often means making choices that unsettle the expectations of others. It may mean disappointing those who prefer the predictable version of you over the dynamic, evolving version that is emerging. It may require releasing identities and roles that once offered security but ultimately confined your expression. It may ask you to learn new skills, expand capacities, and enter unfamiliar territories where you feel like a beginner once again. Yet, what makes this journey worthwhile is that when you align with your authentic path, even the difficulties acquire meaning. Challenges stop being pointless burdens and instead become instruments of growth. You begin to sense the profound difference between chaotic struggle and coherent struggle. Chaotic struggle is the exhausting battle against the current of your own life, the futile attempt to force outcomes that contradict your deeper nature. Coherent struggle, by contrast, is the sacred friction that appears whenever you expand beyond your current capacity, the resistance of the caterpillar dissolving into the butterfly, the pressure of the seed cracking open to become the tree. This resistance is not an enemy, it is an ally. Its purpose is not to stop you, but to strengthen you to develop the muscles of consciousness you will need to inhabit the reality you are stepping into. Most people retreat from coherent struggle because it feels uncomfortable, not realizing that resisting evolution leads to the far more draining state of chaotic struggle. For when you oppose your own evolution, you are working against the most powerful intelligence in the universe, the very intelligence that longs to express itself through you. But when you collaborate with your evolution, that intelligence becomes your greatest ally, orchestrating synchronicities, aligning pathways, and sending resources and connections to support your unfolding. This does not mean the path suddenly becomes easy. It means the path becomes energizing, alive with purpose. Even in moments of effort and uncertainty, you begin to notice a current of flow beneath it all, as if the universe itself carries a sense of humor, playfully arranging lessons and opportunities in perfect timing. What once seemed random begins to reveal itself as exquisitely intentional. People who enter your life feel less accidental, more purposeful. Obstacles that once felt personal now appear developmental, as if designed precisely to prepare you for what comes next. Resources you need arrive with a synchronicity that feels almost magical. This is the alchemy that unfolds when you stop controlling evolution and begin collaborating with it. You discover you are not alone in this process. A greater intelligence is at work, one far more sophisticated than your conscious planning mind. Yet collaboration demands trust, and trust must be practiced. You do not cultivate trust by waiting until certainty arrives. You build it by taking small steps in the direction of your authentic calling and noticing again and again that unseen forces rise to meet you. Each time you follow the quiet pull of your inner guidance rather than the loud demands of conditioning, you gather evidence that it is safe to trust yourself. Each time you choose possibility over probability, you stretch your capacity to receive what wants to emerge through you. So pause now and reflect, what belief pattern or identity have you outgrown that no longer serves your evolution? Speak it, write it, share it, for naming what is ready to fall away creates space for what longs to be born. This is how you develop quantum faith. Not faith in a specific outcome, but faith in the intelligence of the process itself. Faith that consciousness knows how to evolve consciousness. Faith that life knows how to reveal itself more fully through your singular expression. Understand this: turning points are not one-time events, but ongoing invitations. Life is always presenting opportunities to move beyond your current limitations, to express more of your authentic nature, to offer your unique gifts to the world. The question is never whether you will encounter turning points. The question is whether you will recognize them and respond with courage, or dismiss them and later wonder what might have been. Every day, in ways subtle and grand, life offers you smaller versions of the very choice you face now. In each moment, you can choose expansion or contraction, trust or control, emergence or familiarity. Your greatest turning points are not born in one dramatic instant. They are the culmination of countless micro-decisions to stay open, to stay curious, to lean toward possibility rather than cling to certainty. This is why the present moment matters so deeply. Not because it is the only chance you will ever have to transform your life, but because it is your opportunity to practice the consciousness that makes transformation your natural way of being. When you begin to see life not as a problem to be solved or a finish line to be reached, but as an endless opportunity for evolution, everything changes. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions to live authentically and begin using every moment as a practice of authenticity itself. You stop postponing your aliveness until all the answers appear and instead allow your answers to reveal themselves through the simple courage of being fully alive in this moment, no matter the circumstances you face. This is the hidden truth of transformation that so few ever share. It is not about becoming someone entirely different. It is about becoming more fully yourself than you have ever permitted yourself to be. The authentic self is not something you must create from scratch. It is not a character you must build or perform. It is already here, complete and luminous, waiting beneath the layers of compromise, conditioning, and doubt that you have carried for years. Your turning point is not an invitation to invent yourself, but to uncover yourself, to peel back what is false and reveal what is true. And this uncovering does not come through force or harsh criticism, but through honesty, through gentle curiosity, through compassionate attention to who you are when you stop trying to be who you think you should be. The process is like becoming an archaeologist of your own consciousness. You are not constructing ruins. You are excavating treasures, unearthing what is ancient, eternal, and radiant within you that has long been buried under the weight of others' expectations. Every story you release that never belonged to you creates space for your essence to breathe more freely. Every layer you remove brings you closer to the luminous being you have always been. This is why turning points are both terrifying and exhilarating at once. The fear belongs to your ego, which senses the end of its illusions of control. The exhilaration belongs to your soul, which feels the freedom of finally emerging. These thresholds are not merely emotional or psychological shifts, they are quantum events. They are moments when the infinite field of possibility reorganizes itself in response to your expanded awareness. At a genuine turning point, you are not simply changing your mind, you are shifting into an entirely different probability stream, stepping into a timeline that previously ran parallel to your old one. Here, the language of quantum physics ceases to be abstract theory and becomes living wisdom. At the most fundamental level, reality exists as waves of possibility, and consciousness is the force that collapses those waves into form. Your old life exists as one probability wave. The life you are being called into exists as another, and right now you are standing at the intersection of both. Most people do not realize they have the power to choose which wave to collapse into reality. They imagine that life happens to them, forgetting that life also happens through them. But you are beginning to awaken to a deeper truth. Consciousness is not a passenger in the vehicle of your life. It is the driver, the navigator, and the very road beneath you. This recognition changes the entire conversation. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" you begin to ask, "What am I ready to become?" Instead of obsessing over the perfect choice, you begin aligning with the frequency of the reality you wish to embody. This is the shift from transformation based on doing to transformation based on being. It is the movement from trying to manipulate external circumstances to choosing the internal state of consciousness that generates those circumstances. When you root yourself in being-based transformation, your actions stop being desperate attempts to force outcomes and instead become natural expressions of alignment. Think of a tuning fork when it vibrates at 440 Hz, objects resonating at the same frequency begin vibrating too effortlessly without force. Your consciousness works in precisely this way. When you align with the frequency of the life you long to experience, you become the tuning fork, and circumstances, people, and opportunities aligned with that vibration begin appearing around you. Yet here lies a subtle trap. Many attempt to use this principle to manipulate outcomes, to force the universe into compliance with their timeline. This is still the old paradigm of doing disguised in spiritual language. True alignment is not about bending life to your will. It is about becoming who you are at the deepest level and trusting that what is truly yours cannot miss you. This requires a radical reorientation of how you perceive desire, for most desire feels like lack proof of absence. But conscious desire is not emptiness, it is intelligence. It is information sent from your future self from the timeline where that desire is already realized, whispering into your present awareness. It is not evidence of what you are missing, but evidence of what wants to emerge. When you feel yourself drawn towards something that lights you up from the inside, remember that this calling is not born of emptiness but of fullness recognizing itself. It is not a lack asking to be filled. It is your expanded self reaching back through the corridors of time, guiding your current self toward the precise experiences that will allow that expansion to manifest. This is why your turning points feel so compelling, so magnetic, so impossible to ignore. They are not random waves of dissatisfaction or vague restlessness about your present life. They are actual transmissions from the field of infinite possibility, sacred information about what is attempting to emerge uniquely through the vessel of your consciousness. But receiving this transmission requires a new kind of listening, a quality of attention that most people have never been taught to cultivate. It requires what I call field listening, rather than mental listening. Mental listening is what you are conditioned to practice. It is when you analyze, weigh pros and cons, assess circumstances, and make logical decisions based on the data of your past. But field listening is something altogether different. It is the art of dropping beneath thought, of attuning to the subtle signals that vibrate in your awareness of feeling for the direction that carries aliveness, that expands your sense of possibility, that feels like energy rather than contraction. Mental listening keeps you locked inside the probability streams created by your conditioning. Field listening opens doorways into the probability streams of your authentic potential. Yet, most people never learn to recognize this distinction because our culture has conditioned us to trust the reasoning mind while dismissing the deeper intelligence of the energy body. And yet, your energy body is a far more sophisticated navigational system than your rational mind when it comes to determining the direction of your life. It can sense the vibrational resonance of a choice long before the mind can calculate its outcome. This is why you sometimes know something is right before you can explain it. This is why you sometimes resist an opportunity that appears perfect on paper. Your energy body is reading frequencies your conscious mind cannot perceive. Learning to trust this subtler intelligence is one of the most important skills you can develop if you wish to navigate your turning points with awareness. It is the difference between trying to force transformation and learning to allow it. When you force transformation, you use willpower to override your natural rhythms. You push yourself toward outcomes that your ego has decided you should want, and in the process you create inner resistance and struggle. But when you allow transformation, you begin to collaborate with the intelligence already moving in your life. You learn to support the changes that want to unfold naturally while releasing attachment to those that are not aligned with your deeper becoming. This does not mean waiting passively for life to happen to you. It means participating actively in your own evolution, not from control but from alignment. Active participation looks like paying attention to what arises in your field of experience. It looks like noticing what you are genuinely drawn toward and what you are naturally moving away from. It looks like following the threads of curiosity and inspiration without demanding to know where they will lead. It looks like saying yes to what feels alive even when it defies conventional logic. It looks like making room in your life for emergence, for the unexpected, for the mysterious ways transformation seeks to express itself through you. Above all, it looks like cultivating patience, the kind of patience that is not passive waiting, but active trust. Trust that the same intelligence that grew you from a single cell into a complex conscious being still knows exactly how to guide your evolution. Trust that consciousness knows how to evolve consciousness. Trust that life knows how to express itself more fully through your unique being. This kind of trust becomes the foundation for what I call surrendered action. Surrendered action is not passive resignation. It is action born of alignment rather than anxiety of inspiration, rather than desperation of wholeness rather than lack. And when you take action from this state of surrendered alignment, the quality of your energy is entirely transformed. Your actions feel effortless even when they require great effort. They replenish your energy rather than depleting it. They generate flow rather than friction, and others around you can feel the difference. Opportunities are drawn to you by resonance. People respond to you with greater openness. The universe itself seems to lean in your favor because you are no longer resisting the way consciousness naturally moves. You are harmonizing with it. This is the real secret of transformation, that you are never truly alone in your evolution. There is an intelligence, vast and timeless, always working alongside you, ready to carry you forward the moment you choose to trust it. To step into your turning point is to step into the deeper truth of what it means to become a conscious co-creator with life itself. You bring your human gifts, your intention, your attention, your capacity for choice. Life brings its cosmic gifts, its orchestration, its timing, its infinite field of possibility. Together, in this co-creative dance, you give birth to experiences that neither you nor life could create alone. These experiences are not random, nor are they only for your individual benefit. They serve something larger, the unfolding of consciousness itself through the channel of your unique existence. Your turning point, then, is not just a moment of personal decision. It is an invitation into this partnership, an invitation to stop controlling and begin collaborating. But collaboration demands humility. The humility to recognize that while your individual perspective may be intelligent and well-intentioned, it is still limited compared to the vast perspective of the whole. Humility here does not diminish your importance. Instead, it reframes it. Your significance does not come from being separate, special, or superior. It comes from being a conscious expression of the same intelligence that guides stars, oceans, and the beating of your own heart. And when you live from this understanding, something profound happens. Your choices begin to align naturally with what serves the highest good. You recognize that your highest good and the collective highest good were never separate things. The question shifts from, "What can I get from this?" to what wants to emerge through me that will serve the evolution of the whole. That shift in questioning transforms everything about how you navigate your turning point. You stop trying to extract something from transformation, and you start offering yourself as a vessel of transformation. You stop demanding that life deliver what you think you want, and you begin asking how you can give life what it longs to express through your unique configuration of gifts and capacities. This is the untold secret of authentic transformation. It was never about becoming someone new in order to deserve a new life. It was always about remembering who you truly are so that your authentic gifts can flow into the world. Your turning point is life itself, asking you to stop hiding, to stop playing small, to stop pretending that your gifts and your calling are unimportant. It is asking you to trust that the most authentic version of yourself, the one beneath all the conditioning and compromise, is exactly what the world most needs. Not a perfect version of you, not an endlessly improved version of you, but the essence of you already. Luminous, already whole, already here. Transformation in this light is not about addition, but about subtraction. It is about peeling away everything that is not you until only your essence remains. Yet this process of subtraction often feels like loss, which is why turning points can feel like both liberation and grief. You grieve the release of familiar identities, even those that once confined you. You grieve the letting go of territories that limited your growth but offered you comfort. You grieve the death of the versions of yourself you believed you had to be in order to survive. And this grief is sacred. It is not evidence of a mistake. It is proof of genuine transformation. For you cannot release something real without honoring its role in your journey. Grief completes the energetic cycle of what was so that clean space is created for what is emerging. When you skip grief, you carry the residue of the old into the new, and your transformation feels incomplete, unstable, or heavy. But when you honor grief, when you allow yourself to feel it fully, you make room for rebirth to unfold with clarity. This is why many describe their deepest turning points as a dark night of the soul. For what is happening is not only external change but an energetic death and rebirth. Old aspects of your identity literally dissolve so that new ones may emerge. This is not metaphorical. It is an actual process of energetic reconfiguration. The discomfort you feel in these moments is not a sign of failure, but a sign of profound restructuring. Understanding this distinction allows you to walk through the fire with grace. You stop resisting discomfort and begin to trust its intelligence. You see that just as the caterpillar dissolves in the chrysalis enduring a process that cannot possibly feel pleasant yet emerges as a butterfly, so too your discomfort is proof of metamorphosis. The pain you feel is not punishment. It is the sacred labor of rebirth. This does not mean you should seek discomfort for its own sake or glorify unnecessary struggle. It means you learn to discern the difference between the discomfort of growth and the discomfort of resistance. The discomfort of growth stretches you beyond your limits while simultaneously energizing you like the burn of a muscle being strengthened. The discomfort of resistance, on the other hand, drains you, depletes you, and leaves you feeling stuck because it comes from fighting against the natural flow of your own evolution. Learning to recognize this difference, learning to feel the subtle contrast between right discomfort and wrong discomfort becomes one of the most reliable tools for navigating transformation. When the discomfort feels challenging but fundamentally right, lean into it. When the discomfort feels both challenging and wrong, step back and reassess. This subtle discernment can save you years of chasing paths that are not truly yours. This is advanced consciousness technology, the ability to navigate not merely by thought, but by the subtle intelligence of your entire being. Your turning point is asking you to develop this level of discernment to let your energy body, your intuition, and your consciousness guide you alongside your rational mind, not beneath it. For in this balance you discover what it truly means to be a conscious co-creator. A being who collaborates with the intelligence of the universe, who trusts the sacred dance of timing and possibility, and who dares to offer their authentic self as a gift to the unfolding of the whole. To step into this way of living is to begin operating as a whole system rather than just a thinking system. It is to access the full spectrum of your intelligence rather than confining yourself to the narrow band of rational analysis. And when you allow yourself to function from this expanded intelligence, your life ceases to feel like a problem that must be solved and begins to unfold as a mystery to be explored. No longer is it a test you must pass, but an adventure you are meant to live. This single shift in perspective transforms the way you approach every choice and every challenge. You stop trying to perfect transformation as though it were a formula and instead begin to trust the intelligence of the transformation process itself. You stop asking, "What if I make the wrong choice?" and instead lean into the deeper question, "What is this choice here to teach me?" You stop fearing failure and start embracing learning as the very fabric of growth. And in this way you transform your relationship with uncertainty. What once appeared as anxiety becomes curiosity. What once felt like a threat becomes an opportunity. What once seemed like something to be avoided becomes something to be explored. Uncertainty ceases to be the enemy of security and becomes the ally of possibility. Because in uncertainty, anything can happen. In uncertainty, realities can emerge that were invisible to the old perspective of what you thought you knew. Your turning point, then, is nothing less than an invitation into intimacy with uncertainty, into partnership with the unknown, into relationship with the creative potential that exists in the luminous gap between what was and what will be. Most people spend their lives trying to minimize uncertainty, trying to control outcomes, trying to create predictability, and yet consciousness itself emerges out of uncertainty, out of the quantum field of infinite possibility that exists before reality collapses into form. When you learn to dance with uncertainty rather than resist it, you align with the very principle that gives birth to existence. You become an active participant in creation itself, rather than a passive recipient of predetermined outcomes. This is what it means to live as a conscious creator instead of an unconscious reactor. It is the recognition that every moment places infinite possibility before you, and through your choices, your attention, and your alignment of energy, you collapse those possibilities into experience. Your turning point is nothing less than life inviting you to rise into this level of conscious participation. To stop waiting for life to happen to you, and to awaken to the truth that life is happening through you, with you, and as you. But this recognition brings with it responsibility, not the heavy guilt-laden responsibility of blame, but the light, empowering responsibility of creation. Responsibility in its truest sense is simply the ability to respond consciously. It is the choice to meet what arises not with unconscious reactions born of old patterns, but with conscious awareness aligned with your highest truth. And when you embody this kind of responsibility, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and begin to recognize yourself as a conscious participant in shaping them. This does not mean that you control every detail of what unfolds in your life, but it does mean that you always hold the power to choose how you relate to what unfolds. And the way you relate to reality becomes the vibrational foundation for what reality gives you next. This is why your turning point is never merely about changing external circumstances. It is about transforming your entire relationship with reality itself. For when you transform your relationship with reality, reality inevitably transforms its relationship with you. Life ceases to feel like something happening outside of you and begins to be experienced as something happening with you, through you, as you. And this is the deepest transformation human consciousness can taste. The recognition that you are not separate from life, but life itself exploring its infinite nature through the unique lens of your awareness. Your turning point is life calling you to awaken to this truth. It is life asking you to peel away the stories of smallness, separation, limitation, and powerlessness. You are not those stories. You are consciousness itself focused through the miracle of individual experience exploring the vastness of its own nature through the adventure of being human. That stirring within you, that authentic calling, is not random. It is consciousness calling itself home through you, through your journey through the choices only you can make. And this is why your transformation matters far beyond your personal life. Each time someone awakens to their true nature, it becomes easier for others to awaken to theirs. Each time someone chooses expansion over contraction, growth over safety, authenticity over conformity, they contribute to the collective shift in what humanity believes is possible. In this way, your turning point becomes not just your own, but a spark in the great fire of collective awakening. Your turning point is not only a deeply personal moment, it is also cosmically significant. It is both your individual journey and the collective journey of humanity converging into one unified movement of evolution. This understanding dissolves the illusion that following your authentic calling is somehow selfish or self-indulgent. You are not abandoning others to chase personal interests. You are serving others in the highest way possible by becoming living proof of what is possible when a human being chooses to live authentically. Your life becomes a demonstration that transformation is real, that people can change, that freedom, joy, and purpose are available in greater measure than most ever believe. This is the truest form of service, not sacrificing your authenticity to conform to expectations, but expressing your authenticity so fully that it liberates others to express their own. Your turning point is asking you to trust that your individual fulfillment and your contribution to collective evolution are not opposing forces but complementary aspects of the same wave of consciousness. For individual and collective consciousness are not two separate systems. They are one intelligence expressing itself through countless individual perspectives, each perspective adding its unique note to the symphony of evolution. Your gifts are not random accidents. Your calling is not arbitrary. Your turning point is not coincidence. They are each expressions of the evolutionary intelligence of life itself, using your experience as a laboratory for discovering new possibilities of what human consciousness can become. This is the cosmic context of your personal transformation. You are not only changing your own story, you are participating in the story of humanity, expanding the boundaries of what becomes possible for all. This recognition elevates your choices. They are no longer merely personal preferences, but sacred acts of service. Each time you choose authenticity over approval, growth over safety, truth over comfort, you are not only advancing your own path, you are advancing the evolution of consciousness itself. You are contributing to the emergence of new possibilities for how humanity can live, create love, and awaken. Your turning point is nothing less than a cosmic invitation disguised as a personal decision. An invitation to remember that your individual journey and the universal journey are not separate adventures, but one adventure unfolding through the unique lens of your awareness. And when you accept this invitation, everything changes. Your choices take on greater weight because you sense their impact. Your courage expands because you know what you are truly serving. Your faith deepens because you feel yourself held by something infinitely larger than personal concerns. You stop asking, "What should I do with my life?" and begin asking, "What does life want to do through me?" You stop trying to manufacture purpose as though it were an external achievement, and instead realize that purpose is revealed when you become available to it. The secret of purposeful living is not in chasing after purpose, but in removing everything that blocks your natural expression so that your true purpose can flow through you effortlessly. Your turning point is life itself, asking you to release the final barriers between who you think you should be and who you actually are. The universe is not demanding that you become extraordinary by external standards. It is asking you to become extraordinarily yourself. That has always been enough. That will always be enough. This is the sacred essence of your moment. Your turning point is here. The invitation is alive within you. What you are feeling, the mingling of excitement and nervousness, is not confusion. It is the signature frequency of conscious evolution vibrating through your being. It is the unmistakable sensation of standing at the very edge of your current identity, gazing out into the vast and uncharted space of who you are becoming. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding this edge, seeking the safety of the center where comfort and predictability lull them into stagnation. But you are not most people. You are here because some part of you knows that the edge is not a place of danger, but the place where life truly happens. Not the reckless edge of unconscious risk-taking, but the sacred edge of conscious growth. The threshold where you expand beyond your present capacity while still honoring your wisdom, your well-being, and the intelligence guiding your journey. This is the art of conscious evolution, learning to dance with uncertainty while trusting the orchestration of your unfolding learning, to take inspired action while remaining open to course correction, learning to commit fully to your growth while holding outcomes lightly, learning to stand firm in your direction while staying fluid in your methods. These are not abstract ideals, but advanced skills of consciousness, and like any skill, they only mature through practice. And practice requires you to step into the unknown territory of your becoming. Not merely think about it, not endlessly prepare for it, but to embody it. Your turning point is the invitation to begin this practice now, not when you feel more ready. Not when you've gathered more information, not when fear has finally disappeared, but now with whatever level of readiness you already possess. For readiness is not a prerequisite for growth, it is a result of growth. You become ready not by waiting, but by beginning. The universe has orchestrated this precise moment in your experience because you already carry everything you need to take the next step. Not the entire staircase, not the next 10 steps, simply the very next one. And that next step does not need to be dramatic to be powerful. It does not need to look life-changing to be life-honoring. It simply needs to be authentic. It needs to honor the calling that brought you here. Maybe that step is speaking the truth you've been holding back. Maybe it is researching the spark of curiosity that keeps tugging at you. Maybe it is signing up for a course, booking a journey, starting a creative project, or simply carving out time to listen more deeply to the whispers of your own soul. The size of the step is irrelevant. The sincerity of the step is everything. For the universe responds not to grand gestures but to authentic intention. Each time you take one sincere step toward your authentic calling, you send a coherent signal into the quantum field that you are ready to collaborate, and support begins to flow. But understand this support rarely shows up in just one form. Sometimes it arrives as doors opening, opportunities appearing, clarity dawning, or the right people showing up at the right time. Sometimes it arrives as resources placed gently into your hands, as synchronicities aligning to affirm your path. And sometimes support disguises itself as challenge delays that refine your timing, obstacles that strengthen your resolve, closed doors that redirect you toward truer paths. The deeper skill is learning to recognize support in all its forms, not only the comfortable ones. To trust that every event entering your field of experience is somehow in ways visible or hidden, serving your highest evolution. This is the essence of living as a conscious co-creator with life itself. You contribute your intention, your attention, your authentic action. Life contributes its orchestration, its timing, its cosmic perspective far beyond what you could plan with the limited view of the individual mind. Together, this partnership births realities that neither you nor life could manifest alone. Like all true partnerships, it requires trust, communication, and a willingness for each partner to contribute its unique gifts. So pause now and declare your alignment. Drop one word that captures the energy of transformation you are ready to embody from this moment forward. This is not just a comment or an exercise in engagement. It is an energetic signature, a declaration to the quantum field, a conscious choice of where you are directing your awareness. When you share that word, you align your inner intention with your outer expression, and you merge your vibration with the collective field created by all who are making similar choices. Together, these individual intentions form a collective resonance that amplifies each person's journey while contributing to the greater awakening of human consciousness. Before this moment closes, let one more invitation settle into your heart. Commit not only to receiving these reminders, but to remaining aligned with this frequency of conscious evolution. Subscribing here is not about consuming content, it is about consciously choosing to stay connected to the truth of who you are beneath the layers of conditioning and compromise. It is about creating a steady touch point that reminds you of your infinite potential, of your authentic calling, of the fact that your transformation is not a selfish act but a sacred service to the collective evolution of our species. For when you rise into your authenticity, you do not rise alone, you lift the field for us all. The more each of us chooses to honor our authentic calling, instead of conforming to comfort, the more the world begins to mirror the possibility of authentic living. The more we choose to trust inner guidance over outer validation, the more the collective field shifts into a space where inner wisdom is valued, celebrated, and supported. This means your individual decision to embrace this turning point is not a private matter. It is a contribution to the global movement toward a more conscious, authentic, and purposeful humanity. This is how true change happens, not through sudden revolutions that erupt from outside, but through the steady evolution of consciousness, one person at a time, ripple by ripple, wave by wave, until the entire ocean of human experience is transformed. Consider sharing this frequency with someone who has been restless, someone who has been questioning their own path. When you share these principles of quantum consciousness, you are not merely passing along words, you are transmitting energy. You are activating dormant codes of potential in another's awareness while at the same time strengthening those same frequencies within your own. You came into this moment for a reason. That reason was not entertainment, not mere information, but remembrance. The remembrance of who you are, beneath all the layers of compromise, and the invitation to step into the version of yourself you have always known was waiting. Your turning point is not something on the horizon. It is here now, pulsing through this very breath. The question is not whether it has arrived. The question is whether you will say yes. The same intelligence that aligned every detail to bring you to this threshold is prepared to carry you forward, but it cannot guide you where you will not go. It cannot reveal what you refuse to see, It cannot support what you will not trust. Your willingness is the offering you bring to the universe. The universe's orchestration in response to your willingness is the offering it brings to you. This turning point is not an ending. It is a genesis, not the beginning of someone else's script, but the beginning of your own life lived with unfiltered authenticity and fearless courage. Everything that brought you here was preparation. Everything before you now is application. You have not been chosen by chance or by external decree. You have been chosen by your own soul's recognition that the time has come to stop shrinking into the shadows and to begin radiating your true frequency without apology. Your turning point is here. Your moment is now. The universe waits for your response. And if you have always felt different, if you have sensed that you vibrate on a frequency others cannot always understand, know this: you are not here to fit in, you are here to transmit. To embody possibility itself. To become a living signal of what evolution looks like when consciousness remembers itself through you.